Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated. I think today we are going to see the final few steps that we need to create an empire. We need 3 kingdoms and 80 counties. We have 2 kingdoms and 79 counties. As I said at the end of the last episode, we have to wait for England to end its war. The 3 remaining counties are trying to conquer another county. And once that war ends, we will usurp the English crown, try to force vassalize the other areas or demand their vassalization. And we should be well and over the limit then. We are short of prestige. We need 2,000 prestige, but I'll be able to get that easily enough by creating a few duchies. Our big problem at the moment is that the vassals in what was formerly England, they're not happy. I need to sort land out. As you can see, I'm well over my domain limit. I need to give some land out. I also need to move counties around to sort out duchies and things like this, and if I do that at the moment, it will start a civil war. So for now, all I can do is give out land, or give out vassals to people. I can't retract land or I can't retract vassals because we will precipitate a civil war if we attempt to do that. I think the vassals that are in power at the moment will stay there. And if you watched the last episode, you'll note that there's one vassal in particular that made a bit of a show of himself. I don't think there's anything we can do now to remove him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sorting out where... I'm going to sort out a few things. First of all, we have a prison full of princes and princesses of England. I'm pretty much just going to... I've gone down through it quickly. There's nobody there of interest. I'm going to mass release everyone for money. Whoever won't go for money, I'll just demand their conversion. I don't think there's going to be any executions. We're in a scenario where, again, the prisoners belong to our vassals. We really need to stave off a civil war at this point in time. We do have a good army, 7,000, but I don't want to be drawing this out any longer on the High King. I think we're probably going to see 2 episodes, because I think this is episode 49, and dear God, I can't end this series on episode 49. So what I'll probably do is 2 kind of short episodes. This one, we will create the empire and see its earliest days, and on the next one, hopefully I'll have gone into the feudal age by then. But what I would like to do is build a city in Athlone and give that over to a feudal, or over to a holy order, as opposed to creating it in one of our English holdings. So, yeah, we'll see what's going to happen there. We'll start with the basics. We'll release everybody in prison and start sorting out the domains. I thought this would be an easy job. Just press the mass action button. Get rid of everyone. We could only ransom one person out that way, so I'm going down through it manually. Prince Gorman at the top is the son of Moelon. He's being ransomed back to his father for 50 quid. Then we come down to this guy, Prince Carmen of Hellas. His father is a member of the same household that rules Iceland. Same household, or the same family that Martha came from a couple of episodes back. We were trying to get somebody with a claim. He won't give us any money. He won't give us any money for his son. He gives us a weak hook. That's no good to me. Let's see if we can mess things up, because he is the heir. I don't know, is it elective or what is it? No, line of succession. This guy will sit as the Malik of Hellas at some point in time. And he will sit as the insular ruler. I said we wouldn't execute anyone. I've managed to ransom off everyone else, or we're waiting. They can be ransomed off later. But this guy, Mo Lua, a mercenary leader that served against us, we have 77 dread. Executing him will put us up to 100, which we would probably want to be at, to keep the vassals from getting any ideas. Poor Mo Lua is going to be executed for his role, beheaded for the role that he played in the battle for England. Here is another member of that mercenary company. his new commanding officer will pay nothing for him. Doesn't want him back. He killed somebody in the battle. In one of the battles, died in 1070. So, in the recent war, instead we're going to recruit him to court. He's not great, but we'll show some bit of pity. So we've executed one of his commanding officers. His new commanding officer won't take him, so he'll serve us for a while. With any hope, the major wars of the kingdom have come to an end, and I'm going to reward not many knights. We're not in a position to reward too many of them. Paig Moor hasn't had any children yet, but possibly giving him a county might encourage him some bit, and of course it'll come back to us otherwise. I am going to give him, where the hell has it gone to? The Earldom of Lanarkshire. So we will grant that title. I won't do it just yet, but we will eventually award the duchy to Flann Sinna Uí Néill, a brother of Cosroch. Cosroch actually took Lancaster from him, if I am correct. There we go, yeah. So he took Lancaster from him, which is how it has ended up in the Céad Catach Holmwick dynasty. So we'll eventually give Flann Sinna all of Lothian. Two of its counties will need to be taken from the people currently in possession of them, including Dunbar, which has become the new capital of England. Here is one of our great knights, Owen. He killed the son of the super count that we accidentally created by giving him 5 counties. So he killed him in battle 9 years ago. We married him to a prisoner. We killed her husband, who's also of the Icelandic family. We killed her husband and her mother in the siege in which she was captured. Then we married her to Owen. She is currently pregnant, so we are going to reward Owen with... Here's my list of knights. I've been going down through it, looking for people to give land to. I think we're going to give him Northumberland. Then we have our nephew, Gilaforic. He made an alliance with us shortly before the last war started. I'm almost certain he served in our army. And what we're going to do is we're going to give him North Riding. The ducal titles for York and for Northumberland and another one, I can't remember what, they are now held by people outside of England. Basically, what's left of the Kingdom of England. That's how we've ended up with their counties. First of all, I will give him North Riding. But my intention is possibly to give him the Duchy of York as well, if we can actually get a hold of it at some stage. We're now down to 7 counties. We need to get rid of 2 more. We have 3 counties in Kent. I think the duchy is still held by Moylan, so we're going to usurp that from him as well at some stage and become the Duke of Kent. So, yeah, if we give them away, if we give 2 of them away, it's going to cause problems. We'll have a vassal that will want the land back. We've 2 counties. Giving away Dublin and Athlone, that's probably not a good idea. Where else? So where are the other 2 counties? Ah, yes, of course, Norfolk and Cambridgeshire. We were going to revoke Suffolk, weren't we? And we were going to turn that into a duchy. The first thing I'm going to do to get some prestige is I'm going to create the Duchy of East Anglia. We can see here what the duchy would look like. 3 counties up there in the corner. So I'm going to create that title first of all. That'll bring us, we have plenty of money to spend, and that'll bring us a bit closer to the 2,000 that we need to form an empire. Look at this for a kill list. 4 of them killed in the battle for England. The Reeve of Banbury. Rumon, his first day on the job, it was his first battle. A lunatic who joined us after the war against Brittany. Mancoin Uí Néill, wasn't with us long. And Duke Casrach Mac Cachmol, we gave his brother some land up in... we just gave his brother some land to compensate him in Scotland for this guy taking Lancaster from him. If we start trying to revoke stuff, we're in trouble. If we start trying to revoke stuff, we're in trouble. He wants a seat on the council. He's our top knight as well now, actually, at the moment. He's gone in, he's replaced everyone. Sadistic, gallant, legendary blade master, stalwart leader. I think House Caed Cach Ipswich is going to become House Harkonnen. Known as traitors, but tolerated within the Empire. And I'm afraid to say that we have very little of a choice. Now, what's interesting here is that, of course, he has only one son. And unless he gets another one, I don't know if he will. Unless he gets another son, his single son is going to inherit everything that we give him. I don't think we have much of a choice but to give this guy these two counties and the Duchy of East Anglia. So what a survivor A4 Mac Carlos is going to be. The trouble he caused us in the last episode. I was determined that we would execute this man if we got a hold of him. There was one battle, we captured about 5 people. The first thing I did was I rushed to the prison to check who do we have, because I will start executing left, right and centre if he's in there, and he wasn't. If we try to revoke, let's just say Middlesex, 5% chance of a success. He's got a hefty army. He's got a hefty army that could cause us some trouble, and of course if any allies come in. So yeah, like I said, we're pretty much going to have to let bygones be bygones. And after all that he did, he's going to get himself a nice reward. We've just taken him from -100 to +24. He is probably now one of our most powerful vassals. And of course, the great thing is that if he does think about starting a civil war and attacking us, well, I'm not going to stop him, because that would give us a chance to imprison him, take everything off of him, and execute him. I'm going to now make an attempt at sorting out Mercia. Dear God, that was almost a full episode in itself. We're going to start up. We're going to see if England can bring that war to an end, and then if we can usurp the kingdom, and of course if we can deal with all the factions I presume are going to be created. The High King is 55 years of age. He has achieved the majority of the great conquest that he needs to, and now he goes practicing the way of the dagger. I see he's dropped below 20 prowess. I think he was at 22 at one stage. Old age is kicking in. We could have him become a respected expert and get +2 prowess. Or we could take a 70% chance of gaining some prestige and some martial lifestyle. What happens if we fail? Who knows? I'm sure nothing bad. See? Didn't need to worry. It's not like the High King's death right now would be an absolute disaster. There's a couple of things we could do here. I'm thinking now of maybe finishing off this tree and then switching to a different lifestyle. I don't think we're going to get the achievement for finishing this one as well. We'll go for promising prospects. We do actually have a couple of close family members who are not getting great marriage offers at the moment. And of course we will have a few to marry off when we become an empire. So yeah, I think we'll hang on here for a while. We will change back to authority focus. We don't need the prowess for wars, I hope. And if we can keep dread up and start to increase control, get the army back to a stage where if we do end up going to war, we can at least defend ourselves. You might be able to see in the background we're raising the armies. We might as well have them do something, and that is to go raiding. Our brother, who is now under the vassalage of the Duke of Mercia, is saying that by rights I should be the Duke of Mercia. I'm sure others in the realm will also champion this rightful cause. All you need to do is accept. I don't have much of a choice, because it's the only option, so there's no immediate effect at the moment. I'm not too sure what our brother is planning. If we were to somehow end up with the Duchy of Mercia, I would basically grant it back to him. Our brother-in-law, the Count of Saarbrücken, has come to visit us. Regardless of what we do, we are going to get 50 martial lifestyle experience, and he can either gain 20 opinion of us, or we get respected figurehead for 2 years in Dublin, which increases the levy reinforcement rate. I think we might as well go with that one. We don't need the money, but we need the prestige. I almost forgot to set the armies to raiding again, but I just got it done there at the last minute. We've split off the mercenaries, sent them to just stand around. That's the goal, Oglig. What tremendous service they gave us there towards the end. I think everyone is raiding from what I can see. We pretty much finished 2 sieges down at this region at the same time. Where do we send these guys to? Maybe there. These guys somehow weren't set to raiding, so they've just been standing around doing nothing. Not too sure what they should be doing. I was going to say that it looks like England's war will come to an end naturally, but we can actually see over there to the east, they have 4,500 troops sieging down the area. Their war score has dropped from 40 to 31 since the start of this video, but I think they will probably siege the area down, take it, and then become my vassals. I'm getting distracted. We have more places to raid. I'm not even watching. We might even push up. Ooh, we won't push up into England's territory, because that would just drive them over in this direction. And it'll be our territory in a couple of minutes. There you go. The pop-up that we have been waiting for. Our neighbour, King Moelon, has won against Earl Edgar of Rutherford, I think, in the English de jure war for the earldom. Nice to know. Thank you for telling me. I was going to leave it for a few minutes. I thought, we'll handle our siege first of all, and then we will go and find that the kingdom has gotten itself into another war and that we can't usurp the crown again. Actually, we'd better do it now. Well on, give me that hat. This is what the poor man has been reduced to. A single county. Now we have a bit of a problem, or we almost had a bit of a problem. Like I said, we now have 3 kingdoms, and we have 79 counties. We need 80. Moelon will not accept vassalization. These 3 regions will not accept vassalization. Maybe if I create the actual duchies, they might. We won't worry about it right now, because, thankfully, Earl Coning has accepted our offer. We have sent it to him, and in a few seconds, in a few minutes, we will have everything that we need. The prestige, the money, the counties, everything. Dear God, it's taken a while. I've swung the armies around. They're heading back for Irish soil. The poor dude. Coning, the former... What was he? I think he was the... He has a claim to the Duchy of York, which I have handed out to our nephew. We'll say excellent. First thing I'm actually going to do is I am going to... It's a pity. I would have actually restored him to York if I had thought about it, but we've maybe messed up a slight bit. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put him, Coning, of the Caedcach York, under the rule of this idiot, our nephew, who hates us. Our nephew who's a good decade older than us. I've also usurped the Duchy of Northumberland from its ruler, who's way over here now. And we're going to award it to Owen. So we gave him the County of Northumberland, and now we will elevate him. He has gone from knight to duke in a single war. And our forces return. The High Queen is pregnant. Most of our forces return. I'll actually start standing them down. For our mercenaries. Because we can see that there is a faction. We'll check what that faction is once the last army returns to us. So they've brought in vastly more money and prestige than we actually needed. Let's check this faction. First of all, a dangerous faction. A faction to install Etna of Armagnac on the throne of Scotland. It will have an ultimatum in 3 years, roughly. Who's involved? Owen. Owen. Owen is in there. Dovaid of Leinster. Our nephew, who hates us. Olchon, probably still angry that maybe he wants to be under a ruler that won't get a 5th generation of the family killed in battle, or killed from their wounds. And Rhys is causing a lot of trouble. And then we have 2 who can't join factions. Flann Sinna of Lothian and Gilaforic, who both individuals that we have just elevated to Dukehood. And this guy is actually the uncle of that Olchon. Well, if it's treason you want to declare, you can declare it against an empire. If we come up to our current situation, we have a lot to read. But as you can see, it is now telling us that we can create the empire of Britain. The empire of Britain. I just threw up in my mouth a small bit. I can't say that word. I can't say that word. If we come to our decisions, we have reclaim. We won't go into it. These lands were once ruled by Celts, and the significance and influence of the culture is once again spreading throughout the lands. As more men and women embrace the Celtic tongue and culture, it is only right to make it official. So, nickname the family of Donnan. I don't know, okay. Or the people of Donnan. Now, we would need to control the entire region of Britannia. And we're short a few places. At the time, the Irish wouldn't have believed this. What we would describe as the British wouldn't have believed this. The Scots wouldn't have believed this. The Anglo-Saxons wouldn't have believed this. The people that were there before the Anglo-Saxons wouldn't have believed this. The idea that the Irish are Celts is... Some people believe it's actually a theory that was developed through a misreading by Welsh scholars of texts in the 1800s, the late 1800s. We're beginning to see that the Celts didn't actually arrive in Ireland or Britain in the numbers that we think they arrived in. The spread of their culture was actually pretty much through trade. And the regions wouldn't have actually had large Celtic populations. It's a theory that is that's being developed because the genetic research is not showing a lot of actual Celtic links. So the Irish at the time wouldn't have believed this. The idea of a Britannia is utterly... It's not even foreign to the Irish. It's unheard of. If you look at the annals from the time period, they refer to... we'll say, for example, Ivar the Boneless. They call him the King of the Norse of all Ireland and Britain. They do not refer to it as a single entity. Paradox has a bit of a fetish for attempting to push the Anglicization or the Britishization, if that's a word, of Ireland, trying to kind of create this unit that it calls Britannia. That wouldn't have existed in the minds of the Irish. The Irish would not have seen this being a single united entity. They would have seen this maybe as being an entity, Ireland and Scotland. I'm actually going to address that in a couple of seconds. So I won't be going for any of this kind of Britannia stuff. I'll be talking about that actually in a longer video. We're going to go down the other route. We're going to found an empire. I hope to God I can name it. And I hope I can choose the color. Oh, it's been a long effort to get this up and running. When I started this series, I did not think I was going to push for an empire, because like I said, the concept of Britannia means nothing to the Irish, so I wasn't going to be pushing for that. And it feels really weird to me when I hear playthroughs and people are like, we're going to form Britannia with the Irish. It feels totally alien. We've sought to unify regions that we would have considered Irish, and then of course Cúchorca Mór pushed into England and gave us an excuse for its conquest and the creation of an empire. And really, at this point in time, we do have to look at Cúchorca Mór as the father of whatever it is that is about to be born. Gather the realm. I have done what no one else could. I have united the lands of Ireland with those of England and Alba. All my vassals and priors have finally gathered before my throne. I have earned this moment in their eyes and, more importantly, in the eyes of God. It is only right that I place the crown upon my own head, as my servants, both temporal and spiritual, bow to me. I've actually seen today that there is a mod out, a coronation mod. So maybe the next time that I return to Ireland in a series, we'll be able to get the Pope in for this. Ireland reigns supreme. You have become High King of Ireland. Has happened. High Kingdom of Ireland has become your primary title. I won't lie, a bit anticlimactic. I thought we would at least get a new hat, but no. I do think that that the crest has gotten a new hat. What is going on with the titles is going to be interesting. Yeah, that crest, I won't say it got a new hat. I think it took out the red part and put in a green part. I think, or a purple part. So here's the High Kingdom of Ireland Empire level title. And here is the actual Kingdom of Ireland itself. And then we have the Kingdom of Alba. And then we have the Kingdom of England. So I'm not too sure what will actually happen on the High King's death. It's saying it's our primary title and that it's going in a line of succession to our children. What I would like is for basically the High Kingship to consist of the High Kingship, the imperial title would be elective, and that person would get Ireland and Scotland, as has been happening up until now, and that England would remain elective. That's what I would like, so that that Ireland and Scotland would be under the direct domain of the High King. But I don't think that's what's happening. We're seeing the Kingdom of England has now turned into... It doesn't look to be elective. That's also hereditary. And the Kingdom of England is still elective, I think. Yeah. So we might make the imperial title elective as well. Like I said, I'm not really too pushed. We mightn't even see through a succession, or we might, for the fun of it. What I was going to do, we can rename this title. So we have the High Kingdom of Ireland, and then we have the Kingdom of Ireland. And the High Kingdom is the Empire title, and we could give ourselves a title, could we? Maybe? I'm not too sure. And you could, of course, you can rename the realm. What I would have done if it had come up with something mad, like Britannia or something, I would have simply renamed this title the Gael. The Empire of the Gael. And this is the title that Brian Boru was given in 1006. So we have the Battle of Clontarf in 1014. Brian Boru has managed to effectively unify kind of Ireland by the late 1000s, or by the late 900s, early 1000s, and he goes on a circuit of Ireland, and he travels up through Connacht. He tries to offer battle to holdout regions of the northern Uí Néill, who are not having none of it, and then he comes into, well, he come down here, into Armagh, and he agrees to enforce what's known as the Law of Patrick in Munster. This means that religious dues will be now paid to Armagh. So what he's doing is he's kind of cementing. The Uí Néill would have been backed by the church at Armagh, so he's trying to get Armagh to now back him. So he agrees, yes, you will enforce religious authority in Munster, and either Brian Boru's servant, or his steward, or possibly somebody from Armagh itself, writes into the Book of Armagh, which is believed to contain the actual handwriting, the actual writing of St. Patrick. They write into this book just a little notice that the Law of Patrick will be enforced in Munster. This has been witnessed by Brian Boru, who is described as Imperator Scottorum, the Emperor of the Gael. And people think that this is maybe just a fancy title that this steward gave him. But it does show aspirations for a much wider Irish entity. One of the things is that in the late 900s, they would have, of course, vassalized Dublin. Or not vassalized Dublin, but brought Dublin under their control. And it's possible that Dublin had, at that point in time, vassals in the Isles, who were now technically subservient to Brian Boru. At the Battle of Clontarf, I actually have no idea where it is. I think it's actually up in this region. Do you know what? I don't know. Somebody can tell me where Mar is. And somebody from Mar died on Brian Boru's side during the Battle of Clontarf, and it's believed that they may have owed recognition to him as their overlord. And it's believed also that at this point in time there were actually, again, potential, you wouldn't call them vassals, but they may have regarded Brian Boru as their overlord, based in Wales. So Brian Boru stood possibly on the cusp of creating an empire that would have reached off of the island of Ireland. Well, you could kind of call it an empire, a kingdom that would have reached off of the island of Ireland. The other thing, of course, is that at this point in time, the Irish are beginning to ape the Europeans. They're beginning to use fancy titles, and they're starting to do kind of coronation ceremonies and things like this. But I was intending on calling this, and I think that's what we'll refer to it as, the Empire of the Gael. Not simply Ireland, but of all of the Gaelic peoples of the British and Irish Isles. One of the first things we're going to do here is we are going to think on adopting special succession type. I think this is for the Empire. The question of who will succeed me after my death has plagued me ceaselessly of late. The threat of splitting the realm ever on my mind, of course. While it is usually difficult to persuade the realm to accept a new order to the succession, it can be much easier to return to the old. The ancient ways of my people are best. The High Kingdom of Ireland will gain Tanistry elective. Irish and Gaelic vassals will gain 30 opinion for 20 years. Now, let's see. I don't think there's been a change here. Again, I would like if just the Kingdom of Ireland travelled with the actual Kingdom of Ireland. The High Kingdom of Ireland. So we might end up in a scenario where I think Dublin will go to one person, Athlone will go to another. It might be a complicated scenario. We'll see how it all pans out. And look at this now, the debate on who will succeed to the imperial title. We have 16 electors within the empire. At the moment, who are they going for? Does it tell me? I suppose if we come to here and go to a rank, our son, maybe it hasn't updated yet. Our son, Colmon, he's an intrigue individual. What I would like to see in the earliest days of the new empire is somebody young and of high learning. Eilgal II is an interesting figure, as is Trenka. I'm going to spend some time thinking on this because, of course, he's probably too far from any actual former Irish High King to install him. We will try to keep it to people who have ruled in the past, but we'll see who we can nominate for the imperial title. For now, he's not much younger than us. He is a great-great-grandson of Green Graffador's, I think, or not Green Graffador, of Cucarcamoor. Othon, the second of the Isles. So we'll cast our vote in favour of him. It's telling us he's our new heir. We'll see. And I think the vassals are already supporting him. So do you know what? We will give our son and champion, Dovdaleha, our vote for succeeding us in England. Ooh, a lot of people are actually voting in favour of him already. I was actually thinking of just handing the kingdom back to what's his name, Wellon. And while I'm saying that, where is your brother? What's he after doing now? He's gone to, did I see Petrograd? Perigord. Well, it's kind of like Petrograd. Pretty much, yeah. The Petrograd of West Francia. And we unlock an achievement. I didn't actually know there was one. There was, to start as a count level figure and get to empire level. I forgot about that. I've unpaused the game, and some guests have arrived, or a guest has arrived. That could be a knight. We're going to get the army back up to something, some number that we're happy with. Our wife, High King Ercaid. We have had our differences in the past, but don't you agree that it's time to let bygones be bygones? My wife, Waldrada, the amount of trouble we've had with her. Gestures from me to her, whatever is between us, let us start anew. We can stop being rivals. Fantastic. So I'm being addressed as High King, even though I am the Emperor. I think we could change that title. There's no real knowledge of what an Irish Emperor would have called themselves. Probably just Emperor. They wouldn't have really gone for anything Irish sounding or anything like that. They would have probably used Latin, so they would have just called themselves... Is it Imperator or Imperator? I actually don't know. Here is another of our wives. She's going to try and... This is her second time advising one of our councillors. I see she could advise our spymaster. Waldrada. Congal is now Patriarch of the Empire. I forgot about that, actually. And our steward will like us a bit better if we help him with his stewardship. Do you know what we could always do with more money? We could always do with more money. Manfred has died. I just saw pop up that Manfred has died. Manfred, I have to think about Manfred for a second. We took him hostage in a battle and forced him into our armies. I'd swear it was one of the first battles in England. I actually can't remember. I believe this is the Duke whose house we tried to help fix and he gave out to us. Oh yeah, we're still trying to appease him, or we're still trying to sway him. He's grown a beard since we tried last. We will try to approach him. Unmatched people skills. I'm thinking maybe... Well, no, he's shy. Unshakable faith in God. Soaring ambition. Keep it short and professional. I think we'll try soaring ambition. We're getting much better marriage opportunities now that we are an emperor. We got a bit of purple hanging off of the bottom of the shield. This will give us a marriage to... Is he in line for the Kingdom of Lothringia? As always, we're seeing better marriage opportunities for the girls than the boys. I don't think the Empire title is actually helping us all that much. We had a distant member of the family, or a previous member of the family, married to the Count of Barcelona, and she was killed by him. Here is Toulouse. We will form an alliance with Toulouse. They posed the greatest threat to our existence by supporting the Norse in their attempts to subjugate the entire island, the entire kingdom. this guy is in line for the Duchy of Barcelona. So we will send that proposal and hopefully knock out a potential threat in that direction. He was only too glad to accept that alliance. The first thing he has done has called us to war. Alongside, I think she's one of our vassals. Now, the problem with this woman, and you know what? I don't really care. On her death, the Earldom of White is going to go to Navarra. To this gentleman, the Count of Navarra. I wonder if we could actually demand his vassalization. Or is he located in something? No, he's a liege to this guy, so we'd have to go to our war with him. Do you know what? I don't really care. Now that we have the imperial title, I don't really care. We will accept. Irish involvement is indeed badly needed. One of the things I was thinking about was that maybe what would make sense at this point in time going forward, probably to convert to Catholicism and attempt to restore the papacy. I can see the Empire of Ireland now becoming a kind of a world sheriff in Europe, helping out with people just like Toulouse. We could become involved in the affairs in Spain, trying to stabilize the region or bring it under Christian control. I think what we might do is wait for another month to bring the armies up to a higher number than they're at the moment. What I was planning on doing was actually sending the army across into West Francia. We'll bring the armies down. Possibly, am I right in saying that this is... I don't know where the hell this is. I thought that might be Navarra. I don't know my geography around this region very well. There we go, Navarra. So we're going to land them here and move them south and attack whoever we can. Here is our first war as an empire. And I think it's our first time fighting against any Islamic powers. I don't remember fighting against any of them before. So look at us moving up in the world. Toulouse, I think, will have to wait. We've been called into a war by our allies in Rana, if I am correct. Denmark. Is she a granddaughter? Is that Ingeborg, who murdered Ruacon? Or not Ruacon, Moltoli. She sent poison. It's the same family. I'd swear it is. We're going to accept. And I think the first thing we are going to do is we are going to raise our armies and head in that direction. One of the things that I was planning on doing was going raiding for the last bit of gold needed to kind of stabilize our progression into the feudal age. I'm thinking of just beginning it now. Well, isn't this handy? On our way to Denmark, we can stop off another peasant uprising in Minden. You'll remember that we came to the aid of this guy's father, put down a peasant rebellion there when we were in Bohemia, and then he died and our alliance fell apart. So we'll accept, because we're heading in that direction anyway, just because we're coming over that way. So that's going on there. I think what we're going to try and do is lightning strike the Danish capital. So I was going to land the forces here. I did this accidentally, but I've raised them with purple banners, befitting their imperial... I don't know what to say. Imperial heritage. One of the armies is commanded by the High King with the onagers, and the other one is commanded by this guy that we can see in the pop-up. Enfa. The man who killed 4 of our knights in the battle for England. The snide bastard. Wandering around the place, telling us what to do after the hassle that he gave us. We do, because of our military brilliance, we do know how to employ the strategies of both of our vassals. That's what we will do. I'm going to bring these armies over. I might... Will we have to drop one of them off there? Or can we get both of them over to hit Denmark? Our contract is expiring with the Gol Oglig. And like I said, what I might actually do at some point in time is have us progress to the feudal age. What do we need for that? 200 prestige. I don't know what it's going to do. Is it going to mess up the entire kingdom though? I think we'll deal with Denmark first of all, and then we will look at going into the feudal era. So we didn't even have to help in Minden. They managed to actually sort that out themselves. Our alliance has expired with Lothringia. And what is this? Prussia? So Prussia is attacking Denmark for a completely different reason, and you know what? We'll let them. We'll siege down other places. So we're going to come on shore. Here is somebody that we were also keeping tabs on. Moelon's brother, the guy who succeeded Quillen as King of England, has died. I offered him a place in the kingdom, but he wouldn't come to us. His son is not a great knight. And here is the first child to be born into the imperial family. Brachon? Sure. I think we have more children than... He's 16 children. Which isn't far off of Flann Sinna levels. So the Danish capital has fell, but it appears as though either the Danish themselves and or their allies have just sent in 2,500 troops. Now the High King is just about to finish sieging down an area, supported by some allies, whoever it is that we're fighting for. They're going to get out first, and they're going to get to the siege first. Unless we have a movement bonus. Look at this. Poor old Owen. He didn't get much use. He didn't get much use out of Northumbria. The Gol Oglig have been dismissed. And Owen, we made him Duke of Northumbria. The title has now been inherited by his daughter. Some factions being created against us. Lots of stuff happening. But, well, he had some bit of pride and prestige in his final days. As if to make things worse, what must the council meetings, the family council meetings look like? Aoife has succeeded, well, he hasn't succeeded, but he has replaced Moelon as the head of the family. Will you accept vassalization now? You won't, you ape. The faction to install Etna on the throne of Alba has grown in strength again. They're actually up over the midway mark. 3 years they'll push their claims. So what we're going to do is we are going to try and... what are we going to do? Sway. This guy. So we'll abandon our scheme against Urgal. I think he's A-okay. And we'll see if we can sway some of these people out of the scheme. I'm not entirely too sure what just happened here. That's the second time that somebody has died just after a that the Duke of, or the Count of Minden has died just after sorting out a peasant rebellion. Aoife has, it's our consul, he has become our marshal and can't be fired for how long? If we go to assign, will it tell us how do we fire? Can't be fired until 1098. 25 years. How did he manage this? Is it because he's the dynasty head? Is he allowed to demand positions as the dynasty head? Oh, this lad. When you think about it, wouldn't he make a great emperor? He can go away. And I'm going to send him, if he wants to be the marshal, we're going to send him in to siege this area, where the Swedish might come across, or not the Swedish, but the Danish might come across. But you know what? You can stand there and defend the empire. We're sieging down areas without a care in the world. We've gotten A martial lifestyle perk. I'm going to deal with that now. The High King is still commanding the army. Finishing off this tree would be tremendously beneficial to us. I think what we're going to do instead is go for hit and run. Retreat losses, should we ever lose a battle, will be decreased, and we have increased archer and spearman damage and heavy infantry. So I'll unlock that. We mightn't be able to do it because I did change authority focus not that long ago. It doesn't look like we can, but what I'm going to do pretty shortly, maybe we'll get another perk. I might go for medicine focus. I don't think so. I think it's going to be theology focus. And just get some extra piety and see about maybe coming down the theologian tree. I don't think we're going to have a coherent end to this series. I don't think you can have a coherent end. I think it's going to end in the middle of a battle, in the middle of something, and I might just push for the feudal age and see if we can get him. My main priorities are founding a holy order, and if I could get that achievement, that's going to be a tough one. There's another 4,000 to pick up there once we get to Paragon of Virtue, so I can't see that happening. Well. To the perceptive High King Ercaid of Ireland. We signed an alliance with your mother. Is she dead? Where's your mother gone to? Died from her wounds, 27th of August, 1072. The poor King of Lotharingia is defending against a liberty war. Who could be declaring liberty against him? Well, we have. One of them is Rory Odranzoon. I don't know what house he is from or how Irish names began to pop in here. I know that we were on the verge of losing some land in England to these guys potentially. And who else? Oh. Our son, the bold fool. Except we created that mess, so we'll have to go and do something about it. We're going to try to siege down. There's Ran. I'm not too sure where the Danish forces are going for. We will try to finish the siege here with the High King's forces, the High King's forces, and then send them in, siege down that area. We might very well deploy Eanfa and send him across by marching him down in this direction. I don't know, do we have enough to take on our son's armies? We've won that siege. We will bring that army across. We're going to lose substantial forces. Oh, the devil. After this series ends, I've lots of other ideas for what I want to do, both in Crusader Kings and in some other games. And as time goes on, it'll be fascinating to look back on these early episodes and, if nothing else, see the change in things like the sound quality. There was a bit of a break there because of a heavy shower of rain that was being picked up by the mic. So I took a bit of a break, foolishly, went down to my court, demanded a lot of conversions. So as the army, commanded by the High King, goes in against the forces, does it tell me who they're commanded by? It doesn't. But as the army of the High King goes in, we're going to see a lot of pop-ups about conversions. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to, as soon as the battle ends, adopt feudal ways. There is a large Lotharingian army progressing down towards our son. It's commanded by our son, Duke Joseph. It doesn't tell us. If I hover over this one, I was hoping, one of them is indeed commanded by the Queen of Denmark. I didn't realize that they're actually fighting for this region. And we've already sieged it down, so that's one of the contributions for the war score. let's unpause and see how this last battle before we progress to the feudal age goes. You can see there's all these pop-ups. So many conversions. Our son Dovdal was wounded. I think somebody was killed towards the end. And with that we have been able to impose a defeat onto a descendant of the Queen who killed Moll Tholi. And in the far northern reaches of Europe, another hailstorm arrives as the High King retreats back into Denmark and heads for Lothringia. There's a couple of people that we can ransom off. Then, of course, there's a few that we can't. Our dread is falling a small bit again, so I'm afraid to say here is one guy to be burned at the stake. And here is another guy to be burned at the stake. Duchess Perrine. Gonna lose 25 opinion. You should have thought about that before you... I don't know, I can't blame you. You were just defending your ally. Our first battle since becoming an empire. Matt's at the top with 64. Sharif with 54. Mel Fulric, the mayor of Chichester, he killed this guy. And wow, the king of Denmark was actually in the battle as well. And then this is one of the guys that we had executed. Their top knight, some impressive numbers. There's Dovdal got himself wounded. What's he in line for at the moment? The Kingdom of England and the Chiefdom of Athlone. Oh, you see, that's what I mean. That's going to be awkward. Yeah, that's going to be awkward. To end today's episode, initially what I thought I was going to do was 2 short episodes just to get up to the 50 mark. Oh dear God, we could well go into 52, 53. No. Next episode will be the last one way or another. The next episode will be the last one. I hope I am not made to regret those words. I intended ending this series 73 years ago. We are going to adopt feudal ways. It'll give me time to kind of see what we're dealing with. I think even if we do get a massive hammering to the army, that we will be able to still deal with our son. Oh yeah, there's that scenario in Toulouse. Oh well. The old ways have served us well, and we will always honour them. However, as the Emperor of Ireland, I have concluded that we must adopt feudalism and its principles if we shall continue to prosper. It is the crucial next step on our road to greatness. Long live Ireland. I'm not entirely too sure what I've done. I've tried to abort this this city that we're accidentally building. I won't say accidentally building in Drogheda. I decided I instead wanted to build it here. But we're not in a position to do so. So I have clicked on abort city construction. Abort. But it is not happening at the moment. We might accidentally end up with a city in Drogheda. I'm not too sure. If not, are we just going to have to go and maybe build a temple somewhere else before we build another one? Fitzpatrick seems to be quite a common name. Here's Cathalon. We will shove him in our dungeons, release him, and shove him into the army. From what I can see, it doesn't look like we actually can abort the building of that city. I hope it doesn't abort now, because if it does, if it builds much longer, and we actually put some time into it, and then it decides to abort, then we're in trouble. So we're gonna, I was gonna build a city in Kildare instead and give that over to our Holy Order. It's going to take 5 years to build. So probably rush through that in the next episode. The other thing that we want to do is to get prestige up to a level where we can start messing around with the succession laws for some of these kingdoms. What I would like to do is change the Kingdom of Ireland to Confederate partition. because I think at the moment what we're seeing is the Empire of Ireland. Whoever inherits that title will also inherit the Kingdom of Alba, because it's on Confederate partition at the moment. So if we could actually link the Kingdom of Ireland to the Empire of Ireland, at the moment that's not happening. And of course, whoever becomes the new emperor won't have any land in Scotland. So, oh Lord, it's confusing. It's confusing. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to very quickly pan over to the battlefield. Our forces should be, if maybe we're out too far. So I am marching them down. We're going to bring them into Luxembourg. We'll all meet up in Luxembourg, and we'll send them in against our son's armies. I think some of them are retreating. They're actually sieging down the barony of Luxembourg itself. Nope, they're not. They're withdrawing, so we mightn't have to do anything here. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and thank you for joining me on this series. We're nearly there. I hope that in the next episode we'll be able to do a bit of a cleanup. It might be a lengthy one in terms of the time period it covers, because like I said, we'll probably it'll be hopefully peaceful, and we will rush through the construction of a city so we can hand it over to a holy order. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bring this war to an end, bring the one in Toulouse to an end, and that's it. That's the end of history. Nothing interesting will ever happen again. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I will talk to you on the next one.